Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the Game Dojo, deep within the heart of the gamer nation. This is 24K movies, reviews, TV shows, and video games. And if you couldn't guess by that little magic pixel in the background, we are reviewing one of my favorite horror movies of all times, Silver Bullet. Now, I know everybody has their favorites out there, The Howling, American Werewolf in London, and Bad Moon. There's so many other good movies, but the reason why I like this movie is because when I was a child, this scared the living shit out of me. So, just to give you a little bit of background, this is a Stephen King movie. So you know what you're in for automatically. That's right, Stephen King, you know where it's coming from, you know what's happening. I can give you a little bit of a second of action right there. Yeah. And that's right, Corey Haim was also in this as well. This movie was brilliantly done. Absolutely one of my favorite movies, like I said, across the genre. So let me see if I can get back to something good there for you guys. So, where's the beginning? There we go. Can we get the beginning? Yeah, we can get the beginning. Get the beginning. Alright, so we pause it there for a second. So, you do know this is a Paramount Company film. Now, Silver Bullet. Why is it one of my favorite werewolf movies? Well, besides scaring the shit out of me, as I said before, as a kid, I am a Stephen King fanatic. And Stephen King, though his later works leave a little bit to be desired, this one, it was just brilliantly written. I'm not going to say it's a masterpiece as far as cinematography goes, but the sounds, the music scale, the sheer craziness of it is what made it absolutely terrifying for me. I mean, first of all, the local reverend is a werewolf. He is the werewolf. He's the one running around killing everybody. And the crazy part is the way people are killed, and there's no rhyme or reason to how he lived in this town this entire time, and he just starts tearing apart people. Like, they knew Reverend Lowe. They understood Reverend Lowe. So what happened to make him just start going crazy and ripping up people? Has he always been a werewolf? Did he get turned into a werewolf? Were there two? These questions are never answered, and it just leaves you with a feeling of, what did I miss? And we're treated to not seeing the creature till the latter part of the movie. So once it's the latter part of the movie, that's when we're treated to the first glimpses of this creature, which, quite frankly enough, is pretty freaking frightening. I don't know about y'all, but it's pretty freaking frightening. See if I can get the little point there. So, like I said, this is one of the main scenes where he just builds suspense so well. Yeah, that's kind of a frightening scene. That's kind of a frightening scene. I don't know if y'all saw that, but that was kind of a frightening scene. I'm gonna see if I can stop it on his eyeballs just for a quick second. Alright, so let's see if we can stop it real quick. Alright, so that's some frightening shit. That's some frightening shit right there. But like I was saying, the sheer ferocity at how he attacks and goes after people in this movie is friggin' insane. And it's not like if you're outside in the dark, down a dark alley, then you know you're gonna get torn to shreds. There's a scene where a woman is in her room crying because she got pregnant by a married man, and she's in her room upstairs on the second floor, where by all facets she should be safe from a werewolf. Matter of fact, there's people downstairs to eat. But does homeboy break in downstairs and slaughter the people downstairs? No. He climbs up to the second floor, goes through the window, and rips her apart. What is the rhyme and reason behind that? See, that's what's even scarier to me, is that there's no rhyme or reason on how he chooses people. They said, well, he did it, she did it because of the sin, and he was killing her because of the sin. You can say whatever the hell you want to. That shit was crazy. And the crazier it was, the scarier it was. And then there comes to a point where you just saw a second ago where Corey Haim is lighting off fireworks on a bridge at night because, yeah, you know, people have been dying in your town left and right. What a perfect time to go by yourselves in the middle of the night to a bridge in the middle of the woods and set off some fireworks. That is the truest definition to F around and find out. And of course he did, because as you see in front of you, he got attacked. Now, the funny part is, there's also comedy littered within this. Like, not the comedy from like American Werewolf in London, when he was having dreams of like the SS werewolves and they were Nazi soldiers coming in, shooting people up, and it was craziness. You know what I'm saying? That kind of just craziness, but that craziness is in here. The Reverend doing a funeral, everybody else turns into a werewolf, and he's having a fear. He's scared of everybody else turning into a werewolf and killing him, and he's the werewolf killing everybody else. That's fucking crazy. And then there's just one point where a little kid is killed and the town goes crazy, like, we're going out there and we're going to do our job because the sheriff, the evil, dies tonight. Yeah, it's one of those moments. The evil dies tonight. Yeah. The evil didn't die that night, but a lot of people did. So they went out into the woods to kill said creature, which they have no idea what it is, because they thought it was just a man. You know, because men tear people apart with razor sharp claws and leave dog fur behind. But I digress. This town didn't have like a law and order forensic unit or anything like that, so they just chalked it up to, you know, somebody killing people in their town. But out in the woods, while the townspeople are hunting up some justice, that's where we're first treated to the fact of, not only will he kill you, bite you, and rip you apart, but he will pick up a baseball bat and beat you to death. He don't even need to use his claws. He don't even need to use his teeth. He will beat you to death with a baseball bat, which I'm honestly not quite sure which is worse. I mean, if you turn into a werewolf in front of me and I'm looking at you, it's not like the bat helps. I mean, it takes a few more swings, but it's not like the bat helps. But do I prefer your razor sharp claws and teeth to the bat? No, that's a fucked up choice. The bat or the claws. And the more disturbing fact is, I'm looking at you, this horrific beast, coming at me with a baseball bat. See what I'm saying? That's some psychologically disturbed Resident Evil shit. And I kind of wish they made a game off of this movie. This movie had moments of brilliance. The way the music catered the mood, the way the mood pushed the story forward, the narration, the overshot, like, there's just so many things. And it comes to the point where him and his sister go around town looking for this person because he shot him in the eye with a bottle rocket. That actually happens here. So he shot him in the eye with a bottle rocket, and then him and his sister go looking around town to find who is missing an eye, even though most werewolf lore says they heal. So technically they wouldn't have been able to know, but for the sake of story, they search around town and find nothing. And at the very last stop, who should they find digging in the garden but the local reverend? And he has an eye patch now. So of course the sister freaked out because she's never seen any of this. She's just taken her brother, Corey Haim's account of this. But he's so terrified that she believes him. See, that's what I'm saying. That's real sisterhood back in the day, where now there's like, there's no monsters. Go ahead, Becky. Go to bed. Like, no. Like, we just recently saw that in The Boogeyman, where the little sister is telling the big sister, something's trying to kill me. This is part of your imagination. There are no monsters. Go to bed. Bye. Slam the door. You're sentencing your younger sibling to death, basically. In this one, she's a good sister, even though she hates her brother, and her brother tormented her, and they hated each other. At the end of the day, they family, and that family bond is what kept them. So she goes back and tells him, hey, the Reverend has an eye patch. He's the only person in the town. So they start thinking smartly, hey, let's send him a bunch of those weird letters with the letters cut out of magazines, you know, telling him we know who he is. You know, inviting him to come over and murder you if he didn't think about it. You know, if he was going to let it go. But no, he's definitely not going to let it go now with you writing letters telling him to, what was Gary Busey's exact line in this movie? Telling him to eat a rat poison omelet or go gargle with some broken glass. So of course now you got his full attention, because now he has to fucking kill you because you know who he is. So that sets up the pace for the climax of the movie, where he tries to run him off the road. He tries to make him have an accident. He clearly can't get to this kid, so he just like, the full moon is coming up, and even though I can change every night, this full moon will be full me. There'll be no emotion. I'm going to kill this kid. So he and his sister decide to enlist the help of their Uncle Red, because they never tell Mom, because Mom would never believe him. Mom's new husband would never believe him. Nobody else would believe him. Of course not. The sheriff didn't. The sheriff they told about, he went to go check it out at night. And can I ask you a question? Why is it we always need to go check shit out at night? When somebody tells us the most incredible, amazing, horrific, monster-ridden story, why do we wait till the middle of the night with fog and full moons to go check out their story? We can't check that shit out noon on a Tuesday with the sun at the highest point. We can't. It's got to be midnight in the middle of a fog rainstorm. I digress. Go move on from that. So they conned their uncle into giving them a silver bullet. They took the both of the charms they had, and they went to the gun store. They had Uncle Red go to the gun store and take the silver content of both of their necklaces and their charms and make one silver bullet. I would have melted down every piece of silverware in my house. I would have went to the store to find silverware. I would have went around town asking for silver. I would have had more than one shot. Sorry. Shit happens. You may miss. If you miss, that's ball game. But I digress. They only had one bullet because that's the name of the movie. Silver Bullet. It wasn't silver bullets. It was silver bullet. One bullet. So, of course, the full moon is happening and Uncle Red doesn't know what to believe. He just knows they're scared. So he makes up a story and gets the mom out of the house for the weekend so that he can come over with them during the full moon and protect them. But in the back of his mind, he didn't believe it was real, because who could believe something like that? I mean, as the story goes along, it kind of piques his interest, but he knows nothing like that really exists. Wrong, 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 wrong. So that night, they're sitting up watching TV up till like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. He's like, finally, I've had enough. Go to bed. The sun is almost up. He's not coming. It's not real. It's not going to happen. And that's when the shit hits the fan. So now he's not so caught up with whether or not it's true. It's what now can I do? So of course, as the things power goes out and the walls are moving, now he's scared. He's looking around. Where does the werewolf come through? Right through the fucking wall. You see what I'm talking about, movie making? Nowadays, they're just big dogs that run around on all fours like Lassie from hell. No, that is not a werewolf. This is a fucking werewolf. You will never see Team Jacob busting through a wall. It's not happening. This motherfucker came through the wall. Screw the window, screw the door. From the window to the wall, he came through the damn wall and started fucking shit up left and right. In the midst of the struggle and the fight, Gary Busey is thrown all around the place, which he could have just killed Jack Busey like that. But of course, Busey didn't. He didn't die. Gary Busey. So I said Jack. Gary Busey did not get killed, thank God. So I'm so glad they didn't go that route. But as they're fighting back and forth, Corey Haim, who's a paraplegic, falls out of his chair and he sees the bullet go down the vent, and he's reaching for the bullet because the gun is closest to him at this point. So once he gets hold of the bullet and the gun, as the werewolf is beating Red's ass, Gary Busey, from the window to the wall and every place in between, he picks up the gun and he fires a shot right into the face and the eye of Reverend Lowe, which this is the first time that his uncle has a chance to gather his breath after being beat literally senseless across the room, and they're looking at this furry monstrosity turn back into the Reverend. And they don't give you any kind of cohesive ending of a point where they went and told the local sheriff because the other sheriff was dead, and here it is and that, because who would literally believe them? So I'm guessing the story they went with is the Reverend was the killer, killing people in his town, and he tried to kill them, and they ended up shooting him, because there's no other story where anybody else would believe anything else in this town. And we're not left with that. That's left to our imagination for us to think about because it's never explained. But then we have his sister's narration who's saying, I was never able to say I love you, but I love you, Marty, now. I can say it now. Because this brother and sister, they gonna be tight for the rest of their life. I don't know about you and me. I have sisters. But if we went through some werewolf killing, rare reverend shit like that, we gonna be close for the rest of our life. Like, seriously. Seriously. I'm calling you every full moon. I'm calling you every night the sun goes down. Wherever you live, I'm living down the street, maybe 2 houses away. I'm gonna come over and visit. You come over and visit. We're gonna have an unhealthy, close relationship because now we know shit like that is out there. And where there's one, there's two. And where there's two, there's a pack. So, no matter where we move, no matter where we go, because we already know there was one in this town. So how did the Reverend get bit? Was he outside of town? Was there another one? Was he attacked? Are there 3? Is there a pack out there? Now you're left with a bunch of holy shitness in your head because once you see something like this, you can't unsee it. And this is the cerebral storytelling that Stephen King is great for. He's absolutely phenomenal for because there's so much left to your imagination to sew together and do. Even in this movie, there's so many points where you think you know where it's going and it takes a different turn and it takes a different spill. Like, it's crazy the way this movie just goes. It attacks. It starts slow, but the slow burn isn't like the slow burns we see nowadays where it takes 2.5 hours to get the movie going. The movie is going from Jump Street. Actually, in the first opening scene, someone is killed in the train yard by this creature. Now, I interpret that as the creature came in on a train. It was passing through, came in on a train, and somehow it infected the local Reverend. I don't know why it didn't kill him, but I can't see the Reverend who's been in this town for years always being this creature and not killing nobody, and then all of a sudden one summer he just starts killing people. I really don't think that's the way it went. So I think by showing us the train scene in the beginning, the trains passed through town. So I'm thinking one of these things attacked the Reverend, got back on a train, and left town. Because there's no sort of cohesive story to tell you that there was more than one in this town. So I believe that it didn't mean to infect the Reverend. Maybe it tried to attack him because we don't know how he got infected. And there's really no need to tell us. All we know is that he is this creature. Silver Bullet is absolutely amazing that way. Stephen King, like he always does, in this movie, he attacks kids. Stephen has a propensity to attack children. Adults die in here too. Don't feel bad. Adults die in here too. But Stephen King definitely has an affinity for murdering children, and that's not lost. Even in this movie back in the 80s, it's not lost. So, as this movie ends and you're treated to a somber, soft melody, which is the exact opposite of what you've gone through the entire musical score. I mean, the musical score is creepy. Even the cheek, 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 those kind of psycho piano and musical chords, they're in here too. He's very good at the animosity, the environment, and the mood. See, back in the day, people concentrated on those things because it built the intensity, it built the anxiety, it led you. The music itself was another creature on top of the creature in the movie, which is why I'm so glad the reveal wasn't till later in the movie. I mean, you saw the murders, you saw the killings, and you have an idea. It's called Silver Bullet, but it's not revealed till later in the movie, and that's the brilliance of a great storyteller, which this is one of the greatest stories. Now, I'm not being biased because I do love American Werewolf in London. It has its points. But it wasn't until I was an adult. When I saw it, I was a younger kid. I was a teenager. But as an adult, there's way too much porn. That whole porno scene in that movie could have been cut out. Like, I don't need to hear moaning and sexual sounds. I mean, I understand they had to do the whole porno scene with the werewolf, but it kind of kills it when you watching it with people, a loud ass moaning sound and people getting it on the screen. I know that has its place in horror, but I didn't notice it as much until I got older. When I got older, it kind of once I get to that point, I kind of fast forward a little bit of that because I don't need to see all of that. You know what I'm saying? Like even his dead friend talking to him and telling him to kill himself and all that stuff like that. I get it. I get where you're going with it, but the fever dreams, we could have done without that. And don't get me wrong, it's got one of the best werewolf transformation scenes ever. Absolutely, bar none, ever. Besides Michael in was it Thriller? Michael in Thriller. Which the same person who did the Creature Creator figures, I think it was Rick Baker, did both of them. So that stands the reason why that transformation in Michael's Thriller is so good. But that movie is good itself, but it doesn't have, like, I can take away from that. I can take some things away from this too, but there's more meat to this meal than there was to me in American Werewolf in London. The same thing with Wolf with Jack Nicholson. Brilliant movie, really good, but at the end they turn into half Wolfman and then regular dogs. Like I said, take something away, subtract it. There's another movie called Full Eclipse with Mario Van Peebles where he becomes infected by a werewolf who's a police team. It's a phenomenal movie. It is. It's better than it has any reason to be. A werewolf police captain going from town to town, picking special officers to join his team, giving them some of his blood so that they half wolf out so that he can take out the crime rate, and then he murders the whole team and moves on to another town. I mean, that was really good. That's another really good one, but it's a lot to take away from it. Natasha Henstridge, the whole sex scene with the blood and shooting. Look, when I value these movies, I'm not saying that this one is better than this one and this one is better than this one. I happen to like Dog Soldiers, even though everybody thinks they look like gigantic Pekingese dogs. But I like Dog Soldiers for what it was. It's a fucked up situation where you're trapped in this little area of town, surrounded by a town of werewolves, and when it comes down to it, your host, the one that you've been saving and protecting all movie long, she's the creature's mother. She is one of the big werewolves. She is the female pack leader. And that's a great reveal, a great movie. I loved it. But, like I said, when it comes to the full meal, Bad Moon is another one, HBO movie. Great movie. The little kid that plays Dennis the Menace is grabbed around the throat by a robotic werewolf. It was so bad in real life the kid had to go and get counseling because of the animatronic werewolf being so scary and grabbing the kid by the throat. The kid needed help. Mariel Hemingway is in it. It is a great movie. Again, once again, you have the same type of werewolf. It's creature feature. It's scary. It's brilliant. It's bloody brilliant. And I love it. But once again, when I'm talking about a full meal, I'm talking about everything ensconced. There you go. That's a good word. Ensconced. So, this is to the werewolf genre what Return of the Living Dead is to the zombie genre. Now you understand, both movies made their mark. They started something new and they equated something because they became a full meal that changed the genre of how things were seen. Howling is another movie. Scared the shit out of me. But there's so many things I could take away from that horrible CG scene where the werewolves are making love by the fire. No. But the werewolf transformation scene where the guy pulls the bullet out and he's... Here's the thing. If somebody's changing, why do you sit there and watch them change? You don't bounce. I don't think they can run and change at the same time. That gives you moments to run. Like, why are you sitting there waiting for them to fully change and then you're like, I gotta run now? No. Stab him in the eye, kick him in the dong, something from Monster Squad. The Wolfman's got nards. You have to think proactively. But when it comes to Silver Bullet, to me, it's one of the fullest meals in a werewolf movie that feeds me, and I always go back to it. Every once in a while I will watch it, and you know what, it still has creepy scenes that still kind of make my hair stand on end and make the hairs on your back of your neck stand up, just for the simple fact that the music sets the tone, the creepiness and the horror factor. It comes at you in waves that's unexpected, even if you've seen it 1,000 times. It's like a Rocky movie. You've seen Rocky 1 billion times, yet you get caught up on whether or not he's going to win. That's good storytelling. This is a great storytelling by a great storyteller, Stephen King. So Stephen King's Silver Bullet, where does it rank in our scale here at 24K Movies? Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to no avail, I'm going to give you the color of this change. This is platinum. That's right. Above gold, this is platinum. This is what I mean when I say a movie done right. Is there a 100% pure unsinned movie? No. Does this have sins? Yes. But when it comes to a full meal of what you expect from a horror movie, a werewolf movie, a creature feature, a genre with the music that entails the same way. And I'm not talking about rock and roll music like the Lost Boys, which that soundtrack is friggin' awesome. I'm talking about creepy music that sets the mood, which almost is just as strong as the creature in those moments, because the music is unsettling. The sounds, the scores, the scopes, the piano, everything is literally brought together to be one cohesive feeling, and it leaves you with an uneasiness. And this is something they did very well in the 80s and the 90s. And as the later 90s started to roll off, they relied more on CG, less on practical effects, and it just became a big old mess. A lot of movies are just a big old mess because they rely on CG and jump scares, and there's nothing wrong with a jump scare if it's done right and projected right. This movie nails it. It nails the jump scare when it needs to nail the jump scare. It tones it down when it needs to tone it down. It's even a part of this movie where you're trying to figure out who the werewolf is, and they do a great job of red herring almost everybody in town, because it could be anyone. And they focus on this person who lifts off a towel and looks at you weird, or the person in the corner of the bar that stares at you weirdly, or this evil person that's following you, or looks at somebody like, it makes you suspect everyone. And I like that, because you can't tell until the creature is revealed just who it is. And it's, like I said, it's great storytelling, and that is why this gets a platinum rating here in the Game Dojo. So while you, during the month of Halloween in October, are doing your creature features, your beautiful movie marathons, even on Halloween night, you got to have your zombies, you got to have your vampires, you got to have your werewolves, you got to have your mass killers, you got to have your thrillers, your cerebrals, your ghosts. You got to have all of those in your movie mashup. When it comes to the werewolf genre, this is a good one. Cursed is good too, but werewolves giving you the middle finger. The movie, like I said, the movie, this is the fullest meal of a werewolf movie that I have seen in almost 40 years. Almost 40 years. And it's done correctly, where I've seen a ton of werewolf movies. Literally a ton. I've probably seen almost every one they've made, foreign and domestic. And some of them disturbing, some of them have creepy imagery. I get it. But when it comes to the fullest meal, to me, here in the Game Dojo, this is one of the fullest I've had as a meal, and every once in a while I will go back and watch it. The stars are great, the acting is phenomenal, there are stupid moments followed by stupid decisions that lead to ultimate consequences, and that is realism. That is realistic. If you do a dumb thing and it leads to you stumbling into living, it's not believable. You fuck around, you find out. Period. He went that night to set off fireworks during a town being murdered by people. He took his life into his own hands, and if it wasn't quick thinking to turn that firework around and shoot him in the eye, he would have died too. Now in modern movies, and I'm going to speak to that stupid Texas Chainsaw Massacre new movie where somebody gets on the bus with a human head and a friggin' knife in their hands, and you're going to pull out your cell phone and point it at him and say, "You're going to get canceled, bro." That happened. And they let it happen. And they filmed it. And they put it in a movie. How do you kill 30 people on a bus full of windows at the same time? Nobody had sense to break the window and jump out. Nobody had sense to get out. Nobody had sense to rush this guy, because he could only stab 2 or 3 of you at one time before some of you would overpower him and get out. But I digress. You're going to get canceled, bro. Did you see Corey Haim pick out a phone and say, "You're going to get canceled, bro"? No. He grabbed the frickin' firework and shot for the eye. That's what you do. And then he went home and was scared, petrified, climbed his window, walked into a corner, and sat up in the corner for the rest of the night because he just knew he was going to die. Realistic reactions. Simple. Anyways, Silver Bullet. Like it, watch it, buy it, own it on Blu-ray, stream it this Halloween. When it comes down to it and you need a werewolf movie to complete your movie marathon or your beautiful movie night, Silver Bullet cannot be excluded from your list. I guarantee you, if you've never seen it, you need to watch it at least once. I guarantee you. It's a different experience from what you're used to in the last 25 to 30 years when it comes to werewolf. There are no big dogs here. This is a real werewolf movie. And it's by the master of horror, Stephen King. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you for joining me again in the Game Dojo with our October to... I was saying November to remember, October to run over, October to watch over. We're going to keep working on it. We're going to come up with a slogan somewhere before the end of the month where we can use it. But until then, thank you for joining me here at 24K Films, movies, reviews, and TV shows, as well as games in the heart of Gamer Nation. I am the Game Ninja, saying I'll see you next time. Maybe. Beware of the moon.